Hey Celtics Nation! Today we're diving deep into everything that's happening with our Boston Celtics. And let's just start by saying this season has been an absolute roller coaster ride. You never quite know what to expect with this team. One game, everything feels unstoppable. And the next, it seems like you're questioning whether anything is clicking at all. But that's the beauty of following a team that's as dynamic and full of talent as the Celtics. It's a mix of raw energy, emerging stars, and sometimes just a few plays that can completely change the narrative of a game. Take the recent matchup against the Clippers, for instance. A single turnover here, a last-second shot there, and suddenly the perception of how the team performed is entirely different. That's the nature of basketball at this level. It's a results-driven league, yes, but there's always a deeper story behind the wins and losses that doesn't get told enough. If we look at the Celtics' recent performance, yesterday's game probably came closest to what fans should realistically expect from this squad. Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard carried a majority of the scoring responsibilities, while the center spot was tested to see who could anchor the defense. On the wings, players like Jordan Walsh and Nimishkata stepped up to contribute meaningfully, even if the bench remained a question mark. What's fascinating is that, while the final score grabs most of the attention, the true story lies in the process. The way this team is gradually shaping itself into a more cohesive unit, balancing offensive threats and defensive responsibilities. Small details, like a perfectly executed pick or a rebound in traffic, are what define the difference between winning and losing, and they often go unnoticed by casual observers. The perception of the team right now is overwhelmingly results-driven, which is understandable. Fans and media alike gravitate toward what's tangible: the scoreboard, the wins, the losses. But if you pause for a moment, the underlying process becomes evident. A missed free throw here, a buzzer beater there, and suddenly what we were discussing as a hard-fought victory could have been a crushing defeat. One shot or one defensive lapse doesn't negate the progress or the execution that occurred throughout the game. This is especially true for young players who are still finding their rhythm. Nimishkata, for instance, is performing better than expected relative to the low expectations many had for him. He's contributing on defense, setting effective screens, and grabbing key rebounds. These may not always show up in highlight reels, but they are essential to the team's growth and success. Derek White is another player whose story deserves closer examination. Despite some criticism about disappointing shooting, when you look at his performance per 36 minutes, it becomes clear that he's maintaining strong contributions across multiple facets of the game. Scoring is consistent with last year's numbers. Assists are up, steals and blocks have increased, and defensive metrics show a player who is fundamentally improving the team's performance on that end of the floor. Yes, his shooting percentages are lower than what fans would like, but he hasn't allowed that to affect his overall game. He continues to play hard, make smart decisions, and provide the kind of defensive presence that turns close games into victories. That resilience is what makes the Celtics a team to watch, because it's not just about who is hitting shots. It's about who is influencing the game beyond the obvious stats. Then there's Peyton Pritchard, who has quietly been improving in a way that shows a lot of promise. Critics may have doubted his ability to start, assuming he's better suited for the bench. But when you adjust for playing time, his per 36-minute stats indicate that he's scoring more than he did last season, contributing in assists, and actively seeking rebounds. His approach to the game, driving into the lane and creating opportunities, shows that he's willing to find other ways to help the team when his shooting isn't falling. That kind of adaptability is crucial for a young player, and it's exactly what allows the Celtics to maintain balance even when a few shots don't land. Of course, Jaylen Brown remains the centerpiece of this team's success. His performance has been exceptional this season, and his ability to carry offensive responsibilities while maintaining defensive intensity is remarkable. When the shooting of other players struggles, his consistency provides stability. But even beyond Jaylen, the way other players are stepping up and rounding out the team is significant. You're starting to see a team that doesn't just rely on individual brilliance, but is slowly building chemistry and cohesion. Those small contributions, hitting the right spot on a pick and roll, boxing out for an extra rebound, or making the right pass under pressure add up over the course of a season and define whether a team can push into the playoffs or go all the way. What makes this team fascinating to watch is not only their talent, but also their process-oriented mindset. We live in a results-focused sports world, so it's easy to get swept up in wins and losses, but the Celtics are a reminder that progress doesn't always appear on the scoreboard. Every game, every possession, every decision matters, and understanding that perspective helps put the highs and lows of the season into context. Players like Derek White and Peyton Pritchard exemplify this by continuing to perform despite challenges. Their growth is steady, and their contributions, when viewed through the lens of expectations and development, reveal a team that's quietly preparing for bigger moments later in the season. Another interesting element is how small moments can swing perception dramatically. A missed free throw, a contested three-pointer, or a defensive breakdown at a crucial juncture can instantly change the narrative. For instance, Jordan Walsh missing a free throw or James Harden hitting a buzzer beater could have completely flipped the conversation about a single game. That's the reality of basketball at this level. Tiny moments carry enormous weight in shaping opinions. Yet when you zoom out, the underlying performance, effort, and execution remain largely consistent, and that's where the true story lives. It's why discussions around process and context are just as important as the headline statistics. And that's the exciting part about following the Celtics this season. It's a journey of watching a team grow, seeing players step into new roles, and understanding that wins and losses are only part of the picture. Nimish Kata, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard are all examples of players exceeding expectations in ways that aren't always obvious in the box score. Their ability to adapt, defend, and contribute in subtle but meaningful ways is what allows Boston to stay competitive, even when shooting percentages dip or star players face challenges. The process is messy, unpredictable, and incredibly engaging for fans who want more than just scores. Every game is an opportunity to witness growth. It's about seeing Jaylen Brown dominate, Derek White anchor the defense, and Peyton Pritchard find new ways to create offense. The bench steps up in key moments, role players make critical contributions, and the team continues to refine its identity. The Celtics may not be flawless, but the process is clear. They are building a team capable of competing at the highest levels. Understanding that context, that layer of nuance behind the wins and losses, is what makes being a Celtics fan so compelling. And as the season unfolds, watching these players rise to the occasion, adjusting to roles, and learning from mistakes sets the stage for potentially historic moments. Continuing with the Celtics story, it's impossible not to focus on the way the team manages moments of pressure. Every season has its defining sequences, those 2 or 3 possessions that feel like they could tilt the balance of a game. But the Celtics are learning to navigate these situations with a combination of discipline and instinct. Jaylen Brown, for instance, has consistently shown that he can handle high-stakes moments, making plays under duress and finding ways to create opportunities when it matters most. His offensive aggression is balanced by defensive awareness, which allows Boston to maintain stability even when the scoreboard doesn't reflect the effort. The beauty of this is that it's not just about one player. It's about how the team collectively responds to adversity. Take Derek White again as an example. Despite struggles with shooting, he remains a defensive anchor, a facilitator, and a player who makes his presence felt every time he steps on the floor. He's learning to manage new responsibilities, to step into more significant offensive roles, and to do it without compromising his defensive effectiveness. That balance is hard to find, and the fact that he continues to execute his core responsibilities while facing challenges is a testament to his professionalism and resilience. Basketball is a game of runs, and the Celtics are demonstrating that even when an individual's performance dips in one area, there are other ways to contribute meaningfully to the team's success. Peyton Pritchard has also quietly developed a more well-rounded game. His scoring may have been inconsistent earlier, but he's found ways to influence contests through playmaking, effort on the glass, and defensive engagement. The team's development is subtle in ways that don't always make headlines, but when you layer these improvements across the roster, it's evident that Boston is slowly rounding into form. The combination of seasoned stars and emerging role players creates a synergy that can be devastating when it clicks, and right now, the team is experimenting, adapting, and finding the right mix of lineups and strategies to maximize impact. A critical part of understanding the Celtics team is recognizing the difference between process and perception. Fans are naturally results-driven because that's how we experience sports, through wins and losses, through highlights, through key plays that stick in memory. But the internal growth, the improvement in subtle areas like defensive positioning, screen setting, and timing on rotations, is what builds a championship-level team. When Jordan Walsh makes the right defensive rotation, or Nimishkata sets a perfectly timed pick, these are moments that contribute to victories in ways that traditional statistics don't always capture. Over time, these small, calculated contributions accumulate, creating the foundation for sustained success. The narrative around Boston this season also illustrates the importance of perspective. A missed shot, a failed three-pointer, or a couple of possessions that go wrong can change how a game is talked about publicly, but they don't erase the work being done at a systemic level. For instance, a single game might highlight scoring struggles or shooting slumps, but when you evaluate the per 36-minute metrics, the story shifts. Derek White's scoring is on par with last season when normalized for playing time, and his defensive contributions have actually improved. Peyton Pritchard's defensive output is slightly up when adjusted for minutes, and he's increasingly finding ways to contribute even when shots aren't falling. These examples illustrate that individual performances can be misleading if only viewed superficially. Looking deeper, the Celtics are building a culture of accountability and adaptability. Young players like Nimishkata are learning to adjust to NBA-level competition, to embrace their roles, and to contribute wherever possible. Jordan Walsh continues to grow into his minutes, showing that even limited playing time can translate into significant impact if approached with focus and intention. And veterans like Derek White and Jaylen Brown demonstrate that maintaining consistency, even through shooting slumps or offensive adjustments, is key to sustained team performance. The cumulative effect of these individual efforts creates a team that is resilient, adaptable, and capable of winning in multiple ways. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. A low hum has been building around Boston, the kind that starts as a whisper in practice gyms and suddenly becomes the loudest conversation in every bar near Causeway Street. The rumor swirling through the city is simple but electrifying. KLAY Thompson, the famed architect of some of the league's most unforgettable three-point barges, is now wearing green. And with his arrival, Celtics fans are already imagining nets snapping like popcorn and scoreboards lighting up in ways that feel almost cinematic. The story has become a sort of urban legend in real time. People claiming they saw Thompson taking extra shots under the dim lights. Others insisting they spotted him chatting with coaches deep into the night. It all feeds into the growing mythology that Boston may have just unlocked a new layer of perimeter firepower. For a franchise built on discipline and history, the arrival of a marksman known for instant detonation feels like a jolt of pure adrenaline. There's a certain charged anticipation whenever Thompson catches the ball beyond the arc during team scrimmages. Even without official confirmation of his role in the rotation, insiders say there's an unmistakable confidence radiating from the coaching staff. The idea of pairing his fluid shooting motion with Boston's already dynamic system has created a kind of fever dream among supporters who have long craved an elite three-point specialist capable of bending defenses to the breaking point. Around the league, rival teams are reportedly watching closely, trying to assess what this new version of the Celtics could become. Thompson's reputation as a lethal weapon from three carries weight, enough that opponents are already preparing for the possibility of nights where they'll be scrambling helplessly as he streaks around screens, ready to unleash one of those trademark rapid-fire bursts. For now, it remains a tantalizing swirl of speculation and excitement. But if the murmurs are true, Boston may be on the verge of ushering in a new era of long-range chaos. One where every possession could become a warning and every catch-and-shoot moment could send the arena into a frenzy. The buzz isn't just loud, it's electric. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.